Now we are discussing about different switching mechanisms, cut-in through switch, store and forward switch, adaptive switching mechanisms. Network switch is a device which connects two devices in a computer network. We discussed a router is required to connect to computer networks. We also discussed switch is required to connect to two devices in a computer network. Those two devices might be two computers or two mobiles or one computer or any device which is capable of accessing that computer network. In one network to connect to two devices we use switch. Here the switch receives the packet because it is coming from the network layer, and after receiving the packet it will try to understand what is the source address and the destination address. It will decode that one and it will forward accordingly. Now we have three switching mechanisms. Cut-in through switch means, cut-in through or cut-through switch, it will read the header, 6 bytes header, it will understand where is the destination, immediately it will try to send that frame. Packets are being converted to frames because now we are discussing about the data link layer. Data is coming from the network layer in the form of the packets. Now because we are going to a computer network, network to network transmission is packets. But inside a network, these packets, one packet, many frames. Group of frames is called packet. In a computer network, one network to network, we are using the router to send the packets, a computer network received the packet. Now in the network we want to send example for a particular device. Now we are discussing a switch in a computer network from one device to another device we are sending. Here, after receiving the data in the form of the packets, it will try to decode one particular frame address and it will send that frame. It will not check any errors. If there is an error in the frame, even though there is an error in the frame will be sent. So this is a burden to the receiver because the receiver does not know which frame is having error or which frame is not having the error. Source to destination, we will establish the link. Immediately if the link is free, immediately the frame data will be sent. Until the communication is completed, no other frame will be allowed. Next frame will be allowed only when the communication is completed. Once the transmission is completed, once the communication is completed, then only from the source to destination link will be enabled for the next communication. Once the communication is happening, during that communication, it will not allow another frame to enter. This is the cut-in through switch. Here we do not have any storage. Now we are discussing about the store and forward. After receiving the packet, this will store in the buffer. Means the packet is coming in the form of the frames now. So it will wait until the completion of the packet. First frame came, second frame came, third frame came, all the frames of the packet came. One packet frames came, all the packets of the frame are stored in the buffer. Then only this buffer will allow the first frame to transmit. While transmitting, it will check for the errors. If there is any error in that frame, it will discard the frame immediately. So it will reduce the burden at the receiving side. Error checking, and if there is any error, discarding of that particular frame will be done in the store and forward switch. until the completion of the packet, all the frames are stored in the buffer. Once all the frames of the packet are received, then only it will start the transmitting. But in cut in through, first once the frame is received, it will check whether the line is busy or not. If that is free, immediately send. Immediately it will send. It will not wait for second frame of that packet. If the communication link is busy, then it will not send. There is no chance for waiting. Again we have to send. Here the data will wait in the buffer. Next we are discussing about, here in store and forward, we will try to decode source address and destination address and a cyclic redundancy check. We have different error detection techniques: horizontal check, vertical check, and the third one, most popular one, is cyclic redundancy check. The parity bits which we are sending for the error detection, if there is no error, by using the CRC code we will come to know. If there is no error, then only the frames will be forwarded. Here we are not discussing about the CRC, because even though the error is there, the frame will be forwarded. Next there is an adaptive switching. So adaptive switching, first we have to discuss about the speed. Definitely cut in through switch is very fast, immediately it will send. But the speed of the store and forward switch is slow, because it has to wait until all packets are received. But it will ensure that the error frames will not reach the destination. But here the error frames may reach the destination. Now we want to combine these two, fastness of the cut in through switch and error checking capability of the store and forward switch. We are calling that as an adaptive switching mechanism. It is adapting. Here it will try to send the frames in the cut in through switch, but when the error rates are high, it will immediately switch to store and forward switching mechanisms. So adaptive switching mechanism is not a new mechanism. It is using two switching mechanisms. By default, it will work with the cut through switching mechanism. When the error is more, how it will know? It will check the errors also. After receiving, it will check the error. If there is a error rate is more frames are coming with error, then it will immediately switch to store and forward. If there are no errors, then immediately it will send. That's how adaptive switching mechanism will work. We have discussed three switching mechanisms. In these three switching mechanisms, we discussed cut through switching mechanism. There is no storage, fast, error checking is not there. Here it is slow compared to cut through switch, but here error checking mechanism is there. Error frames will be discarded immediately. Adaptive switching mechanism, it will try to combine those two, the cut through switching and store and forward switching.